Hello and welcome to another video. I'm Northern Soul Reaper, and today, continuing on with my review series for So I'm a Spider, So What, we're going to be looking at Volume 3. This volume arrived not long after I finished Volume 2 and I could not put it down. I read it over a couple of days. Now, some people might say that when it arrived, I locked myself away, ignored everyone and everything just to read the book. But that's not what happened. I just happened to get caught up in the story and, I found it really enthralling and I just ended up reading it. I definitely didn't ignore sleep and food and just read the book and ignore my life for a book. Anyway, let's get on with the review. Before I get started with the review proper, this is a spoiler warning. I will be discussing some major plot points from Volume 2 and going into some light spoilers for Volume 3. I'll try to keep them as light as possible, but it's just to let you know that we will be discussing some things that happen in the book. So I'm a Spider Volume 3 feels like the point for me where the story really begins to ramp up. At the end of Volume 2 we got the cliffhanger ending where Shun is bestowed with the hero title, and this is a title that can only be held by one person in the world at any one time, and as far as Shun is aware, it is or was held by his brother Julius. This felt like the volume where the side chapters, which are sprinkled throughout the book to kind of break up the Spider's story, started to interest me as much as, if not more at times, than the Spider's chapters. Now, what about our favourite Spider? Well, she definitely still wants to leave the Great Elro Labyrinth, so to that end she's been exploring the middle stratum in her new Zoa L evolution form. And the exploration's been going really well. Too well, in fact, because her new fear and intimidation skills mean that every monster that lays eyes on her immediately runs away. Now, this might seem convenient at first because there's nothing to get in her way while she's exploring the labyrinth. This is great. There's no monsters anywhere. However, one huge problem that this is posing is that without monsters to battle, she's finding it hard to level up and secure food to eat. It was good not seeing any monsters at first. I'm starving now. I've had no but maggoty bread for 3 stinking days. Much like the volume that preceded it, Volume 3's Spider chapters are filled with exploration, fighting and levelling up. This volume will see our Spider make a nest in the upper stratum, encounter some humans of both the friendly and the hostile variety, master some incredibly advanced magic. Is this your card?
No.
And even encounter a couple of characters who seem to be able to bend the rules of this world to their will. So we get to see the first friendly, non-hostile interaction with some humans, and this is a really fun chapter to read, and it goes on to shape the further mystery of the spider, the great spider creature living in the Great Elro Labyrinth. Now, it's not to say there aren't some hostile interactions with humans. In fact, one of my favourite chapters comes towards the end of the book when we see a fight between the spider and some humans from one perspective, and then in another chapter we get to see the same fight played out from the spider's perspective, and we get to see her thoughts and justifications for why she does what she does. One thing I enjoy so much about this series is the telling of events from the spider's perspective. We get to know her inner thoughts and motivations, but then the human perspective in the external chapters, we get to see how rumour and hearsay twist these events beyond all recognition. Volume 3 has some great moments like this, some misunderstandings and, to be honest, some perfectly justified opinions of the spider. It's a great thing to read about. Now, I really enjoyed the character development of the spider in this volume. We get to see the continuation of her journey from this super weak creature at the start of Volume 1 all the way to this ultra powerful creature, the likes of which shouldn't be possible. But aside from her physical stat and evolutionary development, we're starting to see changes in her personality. The Great Elro Labyrinth has definitely, quite clearly changed her. She's starting to form new opinions on humans, herself, and her role in this world. After all, being regarded as a hideous creature from the moment you're reborn is bound to change the way you see the world and those in it. It's safe to say that I really enjoyed the spider's journey in this volume. The ending is fantastic for her story in this volume, and it changes things forever. There's no going back. I'm really excited to pick up Volume 4 to see where things go from here. This volume gives us plenty of chapters from the perspective of characters outside of the labyrinth, with Shun once again taking centre stage as like a secondary protagonist. Not only is Shun a reincarnation along with Katia, Misoka and Faye, but he's also the prince of a great kingdom that is at war with the demons. And to make matters worse, he found out that his brother, the hero, the great hero, has pretty much with no uncertainty been killed. I found myself really looking forward to these chapters to see where the story goes, and the story definitely does not go where I was expecting it to. When I first started reading the series as a whole, I thought that the reincarnations had a kind of very straightforward journey ahead of them. But if Volume 2 and Volume 3 have proven anything, it's that this story is anything but straightforward. Shun's chapters deal with the aftermath of his brother's demise and his appointment as hero as a result. He is removed from the academy that he's studying at and separated from his friends. But also the consequences of Miss Oka's actions in the previous volume are shown, with regards to Hugo. His being stripped of his abilities and skills and his desire for revenge bear fruit in some earth-shattering ways. There are so many pieces on the board now with all sorts of different desires and motivations that it almost seems impossible for our characters to avoid conflict. I love that this series takes your expectations and completely flips them on its head. Volume 3 continues the series' trend of having some great character moments. I feel like every character is given space and time to grow. Even characters who are only in a chapter briefly or have been newly introduced feel like fully developed and well-rounded characters. This truly feels like a world that is real and lived in. It truly feels like a well-rounded world. Now, one of my favourite things in this series in regards to character moments is that the realisation of the other characters that Shun and Katia's friendship is anything but platonic, and I'm glad that this is continued in Volume 3. There are things I didn't like about this volume. Mainly, some of the Spiders chapters felt like they were padded. It felt like there were some story beats that needed to be hit along the way, and to make sure that the Spider ended up where she does at the end of the volume. It felt like some of the chapters were filled with some things that could have been shortened or omitted entirely. It didn't diminish my enjoyment of the series overall, it just took away some of the excitement of the Spiders chapters because it felt a little fillery at times. So to wrap up the review, Volume 3 of So I'm a Spider, So What is a great addition to the series. It feels like it moves the story on in some really meaningful ways. In some ways it feels like the opening act of the story is over and we're now moving towards uncharted territory. I really enjoyed the Spiders chapters despite some padding here and there, but it was the side chapters with the other characters that really shone in this instalment. It was really fun to see the aftermath of the previous volume explored here, and there were some genuine surprises, and I'm really excited to see where the story goes from here. So that's it for the review. If you liked it, remember to leave a like and subscribe. It really helps out the channel. Let me know in the comments below if you've read this volume or the entire series and what you think of it so far. And remember to find me on Twitter and Instagram and let me know what you think there as well. I'll leave my tags on the screen and put them in the description as well. I'm really excited to get onto Volume 4, so I'm going to go read it now. Thank you very much for watching. I've been Northern Soul Reaper, and until next time, goodbye.